and welcome to this week's podcast, Family Tree Talk, with me, Helen, Tovey, editor of Family Tree, and
Nathan Ward, hello there.
hello. So, Nathan, I think we've both had a bit of fun recently with our family history and actually had a little bit more time than usual to do it, which is fantastic, isn't it? So, what have you been getting up to?
Well, after last time, or the time before, I can't remember when. Obviously, I got the hint about Captain Thunderbolt from a listener, and I got quite excited about that idea because it was kind of cool. I read up on Captain Thunderbolt. It was like a notorious bushranger in Australia. So I was like, I won't get sidetracked by that, and I won't go research him, and I won't try and find that I'm related to him. So I've gone and done that. I haven't got there. That's a spoiler alert. I haven't got anywhere near. Obviously, I've spent a long time researching my mother line, and I've just not been interested in my father's line at all. I'm like, Ward, whatever. It's helped me move along and have a look at that. So the listener said that our relationship would potentially connect by someone called Mary Ward, who then married out of the family, and I can't remember what name too. So then I was like, right, well, if I'm following my father line, it has to be a sibling or a brother or a sister who's naturally a Ward first. So I know on my tree I've got at least 3 Mary Wards, but they've all married into the Ward line. So I was looking for a child. So that's where I sort of started off.
Mm-hmm.
And as it is, it's just snowballed into chaos. I found a Mary Ward who's one of the siblings, but on my route to that, I've just found out. I'm not saying I've found out so much stuff, but I've found so much new stuff that's blown my mind a bit. I'm too scared to add to my tree, but it's all ridiculously exciting, and every single one just seems like an amazing rabbit hole. So from me not being interested in the wards, thinking yeah, Pudsey, blah blah blah, it's opened a wealth of, I don't know. I think I just need a lot of guidance and help, and yeah, I'm quite excited, but I've got about 12 new rabbit holes, so
So, what's making you nervous? Is it that it almost seems a bit too easy, and so it's making you a little bit nervous to add it to your tree? Like, have you done your checks? Have you got sources? Have you found out what other possible options there are apart from the one in front of you?
yes, there was a little bit of everything. So it did seem easy, and I was very scared to add to my tree, but equally I was quite proud of myself. I did a little bit of sleuthing. So like one example was there was a woman called Mabel who married out of the not married out from married someone called Sugden. There's lots of quite interesting things about Mabel, and I was like, oh, this is really exciting, but I can't guarantee that this is the sister of someone on my direct line. And then I found her wedding certificate that had a brother in attendance, and then it also had a random person in attendance who was actually the husband of her sister. So I'd managed to confirm that these two people were related by the third person. So it sort of brought them all in together. Does that make sense?
That is super sleuthing. So I think, first of all, one of the reasons you're finding it easy is just because you've just learnt so much about how to do family history. So you just blithely saying all those things. I just looked here and I just looked there, and the fact that you're just talking about all the other people on the marriage certificate apart from the actual bride and groom just shows you've done the ideal thing of cross-checking everyone, and you've done amazingly, like be able to find out one of the witnesses' spouses or whatever. That's phenomenal. So the reason you're finding it easy is partly because you're doing really good research, you're doing really thorough research, and partly you've just got more experience under your belt. So that's wise, because you know what you're doing.
Yeah, it's still terrifying though, because it's giving, obviously, again, hints, well, whatever. It's giving me all these bits and these clues, and I'm like, yeah, that sounds right. That sounds right. But then me being me, I'm not willing to commit it down until I know it's right.
Mm.
So it's a little scary. And then like I said, that bit that I just found where there was a third person who wasn't a direct line that linked the people together, that was really nice, and it was comforting. It's like, okay, I know that they are tied. Let's click yes and add that, and it was
Mm.
good. But now I've actually managed to trace back one generation further than my mum had actually got. So we're in charted ground. Parish register was handwritten, the entire document. That, like, this is the last document I found recently, and it feels like a whole new world now. It's so I'm at my fifth great grandparents I'm at now.
Fantastic.
But yes, it's been a journey. I don't even know where to begin. Basically, on this path, I found documents that I've never seen before. So I'm used to, obviously, now the wedding certificates, the church registers, various indexes, etc. But on this little journey, all these new documents popped up. I need to explore them all as well. They're all rabbit holes. So the other week I was saying I want to find a ship to research. I'm annoyed that everyone's in Pudsey, etc. Well, Mabel emigrated to Canada. I've got her shipping log of the ship she went on, etc. And now I do know she's related because, like I said, I found out this link. So I've got that. I've got a document of a ship. So I need to think, what can I do with that? How can I research that? So I'm excited about that. I found a record. So I know that was concrete, but the other ones are grey. And I probably just need your advice and help as to whether they're real, or not real, sorry, whether they're actually my relative, or how do I find out that they're my relative? I found a document for a World War One discharge notice of someone who was in World War One, and it was like a document of their service, so it told you all of their records. So I don't know whether that was like the discharge thing saying they did this, they did that, they've got these medals, who's the next of kin. So I found that document, and at first I dismissed it because at first it had the correct mother, but then it had sister, and it was a name that wasn't a sibling. So I pondered that for ages. I was like, well, it's not right, but yet the mother's right. Could it be it's someone else, the common names, etc.? But now I've since decided that the sister is actually a nun, like sister, because it's in brackets. It's a sister before the name. So I'm intrigued about that. I still think it's the right person, but I don't want to get too excited in case it's not, because it's quite a cool document. What else? I found out, and again, I don't know if this is one of my great grandmothers, but I've got a great grandmother with a matching name anyway, who spent 14 days in prison for drunk and disorderly.
Excellent.
I've got a document for that. There is another crazy. Oh yeah, I got someone who got institutionalized as well. Found a document for that. So all of these new documents are coming up. So war records. Oh, and there's another guy who was in the RAF in World War One.
Mm.
Again, I need to confirm whether it is I think it was Benjamin. I'm not sure whether it was him or not. But all the things I've been desperate to find, I've been like, wow, and it's all coming from the father line that I was so not interested in.
It is amazing. Well, just family history is never ever boring. So one thing I would say, you're finding out so many things, and this might be a bit of maverick advice, but I don't think it is. I think you need to add all these people with their documents to your tree, even if you're not 100%. And the reason is you found out so much and it's fresh in your mind, but it won't take long before it stops being fresh in your mind. And you don't want to be feeling confused or retracing your steps about where you found things. So I'd say add it all to your tree. But to save you feeling in a panic that you're adding inaccurate information, there's two things you can do. So I know you're really keen on using Ancestry on your phone, aren't you? You're just using the Ancestry app. But I would say use the Ancestry website, and obviously you can use the Ancestry website on a desktop or PC, but you can also use the Ancestry website on a phone. Just instead of using the app, just go straight to the URL, log in. Because when you use the Ancestry website, you can tag things. So you have the ability to choose from the tags that Ancestry provide, which the tags can say things like actively searching. So you can tag all of the people you're actively searching. So you can tag them all up with that. So these are the people I'm currently searching. You can also do your own custom tags. So you could even do a custom tag and say whatever you want. You can say the period in time that you're researching them, that you're feeling doubtful about them. So you could call them to be proven or whatever. There's probably already an existing tag which is going to do the job for you. But if there isn't, write your own tag out all of these people that you feel like you need a bit more verification. So that's your first step, because then you've labelled them. Then, even if you are naughty and carry on researching other things before you've dotted the I's and everything on this bunch of information, a few months' time you go, I'm going to be good, I'm going to go back and I'm going to verify and get that extra information and do that extra checking to ensure this information is correct. You can just go into Ancestry, you can search on your tags, you can search on your, for instance, to be proven tag that you added, or one of the tags that you've chosen from Ancestry, and you'll bring up a list of all the people who you've got stuff on that you need to verify. So it's a really nice way of categorizing and being able to revisit your research in the future by using the tags for your own benefit. The other thing is, this is a lesson for all of us, is let's say it's really easy with family history for weeks and months and even years to pass, and you might not get back to some of these people for years, which might seem like a crazy thing to say, but as you're becoming more and more aware, there's so many tempting things to discover that sometimes you do just beetle off into the new thing. So if in the meantime somebody contacts you and says, hi Nathan, great to see your tree, but you got it wrong, then I think all of us need to take stock. First of all, be polite, get back to the person and say, okay, I'll look into this. Ask them for evidence of why they think their thing's right, because they may be wrong and you may be right. Just because they told you you're wrong doesn't mean you're wrong. But be open to the possibility that your information, even if it's sat in your tree for a while, could be wrong. Because the longer we have the information, the harder it is to let go of it. Yeah?
Yeah.
That's my 2 bits of advice. Tag and be open to the possibility that it, even if it's sat there for a while, it might be wrong.
Yeah. That sounds like a good idea. Like, literally, like I was saying, I was doing the side shoots trying to find an extra Mary child. So I've got lots and lots of brothers and sisters. Like one of them had like 9 brothers and sisters. Like, and I think the next had 7. So there's a lot of extra people on my tree now that I'm confident are correct because I've gone through, like the census, etc. But it's then everything I've just told you. It's like knowing who that document's associated with, like which grandmother was the one that might have been the drunk, which who's emigrated. I mean, I know I can remember that was Mabel, but it's going to be quite easy to get lost, isn't it? And go down one rabbit hole searching what that document means and how to analyze that. When I come back and I'm looking from a World War I pilot, like which tree is it on, which strand? So yeah, that sounds like a really good idea. Oh boy,
That's what I recommend.
yeah, my head's exploded though. It
sounds so exciting.
It was literally, it's like, oh, obviously I keep saying I want all these exciting, interesting documents, and I just have not got any, and now I've got loads, and I feel like each one warrants a lot of my time, but it's obviously they're all rabbit holes, aren't they?
So there was 2 really interesting points which you want to follow up, and one of them was trying to establish whether that First World War record, which sounds as though it might be like a service record or a pension record, whether that was definitely for your ward, and was it a ward ancestor?
Yeah.
Yeah, or whether it was somebody who's just a namesake. So the military records are good because they have ages on them. So then I would do the normal thing that we've done before. I'd go to FreeBMD and I'd search on that person's name, and I would search on that year of birth, maybe give or take 1 year. And if they have a middle name, I'd search, on their middle name as well, just to see, okay, how many people are there? How many young men are there who were born in that year, give or take a year? How many other contenders potentially are there that I could be getting in a muddle with? Just so you have, it's almost like information tucked away in the corner of your brain, just so you can know whether you're likely to be mistakenly identifying somebody as your ancestor, and whether there's 3 other possible men who are that age, or whether there's 20, or that's just a really good ballpark thing. It doesn't take very long to do. It just takes a couple of minutes and just gives you a flavour of whether you're likely to get in a muddle. The unit that they've joined, that's really encouraging for you because they're in the kind of very plausible location. Obviously, in the war, lots of people did join and get transferred to all sorts of different units. So just because you find somebody in Devon and you have a Yorkshire ancestor, you don't need to panic. But it is pretty likely they would be in their area, and it said something about East Yorkshire up there. Another thing is it will have their previous occupation on there. So if he was old enough, so it says, are you or have you been an apprentice? No. And does it somewhere it will say his previous occupation? What is your trade or calling? Mill
something.
Yeah. So that's really useful because depending on his age, then if he was in the 1911, you can look and see what your William was doing in the 1911 census. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you can look and see what your William was doing in the 1921 census. Obviously, his occupation could change considerably because partly the world, or definitely the UK, but the UK was suffering such economic turmoil. Lots of people weren't in occupations and would very likely have to change lines of work. But you can look through these other clues. The more things seem to check out, the more confident you can feel in your finding.
Yeah, it's just all very exciting and cool.
It's brilliant. So here it's saying on his military history sheet, and it's saying, so
Yeah, he was based in Greece.
yes, so he served for 4 years and 18 days. Yeah, he was based in Greece. So if he was in Salonika from November 1916 to December 1918, so that's after the war officially ended. Obviously, it took a long time, didn't it, for people to get demobilised and sent home. Yeah, and he's got 2 medals. He's got the British War Medal and the Victory Medal. And that's what you'd expect for somebody who'd served from after the introduction of conscription. So conscription got started on the 1st of January 1916. But that doesn't quite make sense. So I would expect him to have some sort of star as well, because if he served for 4 years, then that should mean that he served before the introduction of conscription. So that's interesting. But maybe he didn't serve overseas until, maybe he didn't have, I can't remember the qualification. With the medals, they each have like a reason why you're allowed to get that medal and what you had to have done to get the medal. So it's just gone clean out of my head. So it could be that you had to have served overseas in order to get the star. I think that's probably it. That's why he hasn't got the star. That's why even though he served in the war prior to conscription, which doesn't mean your ancestor was bad or lazy if they didn't serve prior to conscription. And it could be that they're just too young. But it does also feel to me, maybe I'm being a bit precious about it, does feel like it's a badge of honour if you did have an ancestor who served before conscription, because it means even though they didn't have to, they still stepped up to fight. And looking here more closely at his record, it actually says his first date there is the 9th of September 1914. So he was there right near the start of the war, volunteering to fight when he didn't have to.
Yes. And then he didn't go out to Greece until 1916.
And that's quite common. Lots of people did spend much of their service in the UK training and waiting and...
But this is the interesting part for me, the name and address of next of kin. So they've got this sister in brackets, Ethel Ashbridge. It's like, why is it? Am I right? Do you agree? Do you think that's a nun?
No.
You think it could be a sister? Real life sister?
The reason I think it's not a nun, even though that would be really cool if it was a nun, is because where it says mother, it's got mother in front of her name. So I think they just put the relation.
Oh, right. So there's a massive chance that this isn't my...
Well, no, because why do you think Ethel isn't... have you not got any Ethels?
I don't have an Ethel.
Okay, so Ethel could be an old... But you don't have an Ethel yet. Have you looked in the free BMD to find out whether... Or have you looked on the GRO to see whether there's any Ethels born to those parents?
That is a negatory. I have not done that.
Naughty. So, or just assuming that you haven't got an Ethel because you haven't come across an Ethel through the hints. Oh, did I ever mention that hints can really let you down and they just present you with things and don't let you do thorough research?
I've done zero research.
Okay, so what you need to do is go onto the GRO or go onto FreeBMD and look for Ethel. The reason I said to go to FreeBMD first is because you can search on a wide parameter. So the GRO is fantastic because you can search with the mother's maiden name. So obviously that really narrows down your search because you're not just looking for an Ethel Ward, you're looking for an Ethel Ward whose mum's maiden name was Blackburn. So that's fantastic. What's really frustrating about the GRO is you can only search for the year you want plus or minus 2 years. So you're only searching kind of 5-year sections at a time because you have no idea how old Ethel is. It's slightly frustrating to keep going repeat with the different dates. So I like to go to FreeBMD first, see who my possible Ethels are, then go to the GRO, bringing the mother's maiden name, and I just think I like toggling those two sites together to try and get each.
My friend Helen, who she's listening to the podcast, she said this to me actually.
Did she?
Yeah, she said this is a good way to do it. Right, I am logged into the GRO website.
Excellent. Go to search the GRO indexes.
So these are all happening in 1886 to 1889. Would you put a mid-range or would you start at 1886?
I would start with the mid-range of 1888 plus or minus 2, and then that will, because then we can keep jumping forward in like 5-year chunks, can't we?
Okay.
Or 4-year chunks. My maths isn't very good, but we'll just make sure we haven't missed any years. And then mother's maiden surname. This is the fantastic box here. Have you put she's a female? I always forget to, where it says sex, please select, and I never do that, and I always have to go back and choose. No, matching results. Okay, so let's change the year. So we've got 1888 plus 2. So we're going to go 1893 plus or minus 2. Oh.
So nothing's coming up. So shall I just for peace of mind, I'm going to ditch Blackburn.
Okay.
And just see if options come up.
Okay, so this search is proving to be laborious because there's so many Ethel Wards. So it doesn't mean it's a bad search we're doing, but it does mean it's laborious. So what we're trying to establish is Ethel definitely the soldier's sister? So the naughty part of me, rather than finishing this search, I would go back to FreeBMD and I'd search on marriages for an Ethel Ward marrying an Ashbridge and see what I could get there. Because we're trying to find out is she a relation? So we're using the details that we've got and trying to interpret how those details could have been arrived at. So that Ethel could have got married, and that's why she's got the Ashbridge surname. It could be that Mum Mary had a baby before she got married to Mr. Ward, and the man's name could have been Ashbridge, and there could be no record of that mum's name. So you've got Ethel Ashbridge, who was born Ethel Ashbridge, who's actually a half sister of the soldier. So all these possibilities, but what we're trying to do is go: is this soldier Nathan's relation? That's what we're trying to establish.
Yeah, this is good actually. This is taking me a bit deeper than I normally go as well. I don't think I've done any research where I've eliminated people using the negative space, if that makes sense.
Yes, to do, isn't it?
Yeah, the lazy part of me is just like, oh, whatever. It's just not. But you do need to just.
But if you want the answer, you have to try and think of ways to get the answer, don't you?
Yes, you do.
But it's not a. In some ways, it feels as though it's completely pointless because you're like, I don't care about Ethel. I'm not interested in her. But the point isn't Ethel. We're not actually interested in Ethel. We're interested in the soldier one. It is the soldier Nathan's. So that's what we're trying to do here, even though it doesn't look like it. Looks like we're faffing around with Ethel.
Yes, right. So what we're doing, we're looking for a marriage.
We're looking for a marriage of a Ethel Ward who married an Ashbridge. And another thing we're going to do, if this doesn't work, we're going to try taking out the Wards. Like what I said, Ethel, if she was a baby from a different marriage or a different partnership of Mary's, she might not have ever had the Ward name and might be a half sister.
And is this search particular enough that I don't need to allocate a district or a county, or?
I always like just to cast the net really wide and go, okay, and then when you end up with a stupid number of results, you go, okay, let's fine tune this up a bit.
No matches.
It's
It's probably because she was a nun.
I love it. She's going to turn out to be a nun, isn't she? Okay, and don't ask me how you research a nun, because I have never, ever done that. We're going to have to find out how to research a nun.
I don't even know if I should say this out loud, but I did research Ethel Ashbridge as a nun, and there is one.
Oh, really?
But she's in America, so whatever.
Oh, that doesn't matter.
Yeah, but I think we should park that for now.
Yes.
On the off chance it's just circumstantial.
So far, we have done some quite conscientious, a little bit haphazard because we're rushing rather than, that kind of feeling when you're on your own time doing your family history. You're really calm and orderly. Whereas when you're, say, your mum or your brother or whoever's leaning over your shoulder watching you do your family history, it's really hard to be as slow and calm and methodical as you need to. But what we've done is we've established the principle that if we're trying to verify the record that we found belongs in our tree, belongs to one of the people in our tree. So for in this instance, Nathan's trying to establish is the soldier's service or pension record, is that his ancestor. So we're looking at those next of kin details to find out, are those next of kins Nathan's ancestors next of kin? And if so, the record relates to Nathan's ancestor. Yay. So how we're trying to do that is we're trying to find out more about these next of kin to find out whether they're related. So far, we have been unsuccessful, but we shall resume the search. Nathan will do that at some point, won't you, Nathan? It's on your list of rabbit holes.
I mean, yeah, it's a massive rabbit hole. Quite happy to be lost in all of these rabbit holes. It's just an exciting record, and I kind of secretly want it to be him.
It's so cool. I mean, honestly, Nathan, once you actually manage to get a soldier's record like that, you're so lucky. Partly because I think there was a fire which broke out during the Second World War, and I think it wasn't a direct result of a bomb, but the fire did break out during the Second World War in Arnhem Street, where all the papers were held, and an estimated 60 to 70% of the millions of soldiers' First World War records which had been kept there were burnt. So they're called the burnt papers, and the service records are called the burnt papers. The pension records are called the unburnt papers. And so, in fact, if you have got you're one of your ancestors' service records, you're in the lucky minority, that 30-40% of papers which didn't get burnt. And so from there, you can find out so much. So you've got those dates where he served, you've got the unit he served with. So then you can go to the National Archives, you can look up the unit war diary, which will tell you day by day, hour by hour, what your ancestors' units were doing, and then get so many insights to what they served, where they served, what their service was like, any major battles they were involved in, all of that. So once you've established it is your person, then it's exciting stuff.
Yeah, I mean, even if it's not, it's quite an enjoyable process to see a new document and to then try and do the sleuthing on it, isn't it? Obviously, it'll be frustrating if it's not my William, but it's not wasted time, is it? I'm learning skills and it's giving me the experience of seeing this document, which is, like I say, it's very interesting to look at. It's a change from the usual 3 or 4 that I've been seeing. So,
And you know when you said about the negative space, the other thing which I am really bad at this, but even if you just include a tiny note, it's worth on your research log including negative searches. So let's say this guy turns out not to be your man, or even if he just turns out that you just can't quite prove for sure that he is your man, and so you don't want to add it to your tree, include some content to that effect on your research log. So you could say, I found the record for Mr. Blah Blah, whoever it is, his name is, in the First World War Soldier Service records. I tried to verify this, that, and the other. I didn't manage to verify that. My conclusion is that he is not related, because otherwise, in 5 years' time, you'll be going, oh, I can't believe I've never spotted this before, and you'll be doing it all again. Whereas even if you probably, I don't particularly read my research log, I don't particularly revisit it that way, but I do think the exercise of writing it down cements things in our heads.
for me, the interesting thing is obviously my search was to find a Mary on a different line, and in doing that, I found lots. So, in that respect, there's a good chance I'm not related because it's such a common name. And then also, this particular war record, the quick screen grab that Ancestry gives me says it's William, Mother Mary, and the birth is in the same area as where my William was born. So, 3 details do match, but I know now that they are common names. So, as much as it looks like it could be concrete, there's a good chance that it's not. It's just common names now. But that does also make me think, well, it could be, because why would it be those 3 things? So we'll see. We'll find out. I'll analyze it further and see what I can find. I mean, there's also an address as well for the mother's address. So obviously, I've got that as a good place to go and try and find what if it's in the local area, or 2 if it's an address that's popping up on the census. That would answer that quite quickly for me, actually. I'll go back to it and I'll let you know on that one.
It's really good.
I have another question for you.
Hmm.
This one is it is another hint. It's for, who is it for? It's for Benjamin Ward, who is the son of Joseph Ward and also the brother of William. So William's the guy that I think we've got the First World War record for. But Benjamin Ward looks to maybe have an RAF record tied to his name.
Ooh.
So Benjamin's definitely in the family. I've got correct links on the census, etc. But then there's a war record, and there's another person on Ancestry who's got the same few people on their tree, and they've also got Benjamin, and they've actually tied this record to him.
What things make you think this is your Benjamin?
Because when I go into this other Ancestry user's tree, their brothers and sisters, and the tree line, it matches up. It's the same brothers and sisters to my Benjamin and the same parents. So I don't officially know that this is real or correct. I'll still have that, but the fact that this person has linked this Air Force record to it, when I click on it, I can't access it. I've got to pay for something else. So I can't see anything on this document. It's too blurred.
Oh, how frustrating. Does it make you pay for fold 3?
Yes, it does. I can start a trial on that. But is there any other way I can access this information?
I don't know off the top of my head, but what I would do, I would have a look on Find My Past, and I would have a look on the National Archives. So if Find My Past have it, I don't know whether it's possible to do this, but I think sometimes you can buy, they call them micropayments. So I know you can do micropayments for newspapers on Find My Past, and I think you can do micropayments for the 1921 census on Find My Past. I don't know whether you can do micropayments for everything. So that would mean you just pay a few quid to look at a record available on Find My Past, but I don't know whether it's possible on everything.
Right.
So this could be a good thing to find out properly. Let's have a look. So look in the National Archives as well, just in case. But I suspect if they've got it available on Ancestry, they're unlikely to be giving it away free like that. You're looking it up.
Yes. Should I not be doing this now?
Oh, go for it. So that RAF record that you found, so we know it's in a collection which covered 1918 to 1940. And So 1918 was the first year of the RAF. So before that, through the First World War, there were two units. There was the Royal Naval Air Service and the Royal Flying Corps. So the Army version was the Royal Flying Corps and the Naval version was the RNAS. And then on the 1st of April 1918, they amalgamated to become the Royal Air Force and become its own third branch of the British Armed Forces. And it was the first official independent air force in the world. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's really
And
fun.
yeah, it is really cool. And then so it's just a handful of people. Like literally, it's crazy when you read about the First World War. So First World War bomber plane. Okay, you're in a little biplane and you have your bomb and you pick it up in your hands and you drop it over the edge. Yeah. So there's the pace of technology, because then by the time you get to the Second World War, you've got jet engines landing on aircraft carriers. And by the peak of the Second World War, in the RAF, I think it's even might just be the British bit of the RAF rather than just all the Commonwealth forces as well. There was more than 900,000 people working in the RAF alone. So our British Army today, I could be a bit out of date, is like 100,000 people in the Army. And the Army's the kind of the largest of the three branches, the Army, Navy and Air Force. So in the Second World War, the Air Force was just phenomenal. Obviously, there were millions of people in the Army at that time, but still to have nearly 1 million people in the RAF, ended up, the growth trajectory is just phenomenal. And
Yeah.
the chances of getting an ancestor serving in the Air Force, particularly in the Second World War period, but even growing in the interwar period.
Yeah. I need to bear that in mind as well. Because in my head, I'm excited. I'm like, oh, I want it to be a pilot. But obviously, there's so many different roles. He doesn't have to be a pilot, does he?
It doesn't, and it's really cool as well. Like even if you're ground crew or if you're working in an aircraft factory, or all those mechanics and support roles, it's just fascinating to think of the materials they use and they're the cutting edge of technology. And with ancestors as you have in that, in the industrial north, there's every possibility that you've got people who were really technically savvy people. They might have worked in factories in some capacity, and so they'd be ideal for working as ground crew, wouldn't they?
Yeah. All right. It's just so much to research, isn't it? It's actually,
Mhm.
it blows my mind. But
Mm.
literally, I was just getting hit after hit after hit when I had this like long weekend of searching.
Mm.
But I'm just terrified to commit to anything. Clearly, I
Mm.
have to spend a few pennies.
I think you're going to have to spend some pennies or do a trial. The other thing you could do, if you haven't already, is try and track down Benjamin on the 1921 census and see if you can find any clue, because that record collection is covering those few decades. It's covering the 1921. So you never know. They might have some clues about his occupation in there, which is going to be helpful.
Yes.
So he's a painter on the Great Northern Railway.
Yeah.
So I think, and I'm not sure about this, but I think there are fairly good employment records for railways. So potentially, if there were employment records for him, it might say what his former occupation was, and it might say a clue about the RAF.
Okay, cool. But
It's really cool that this person who's got the same tree details as you has got this record in there, but being the diligent researcher you are, that's not really enough for you to trust it.
no, it isn't. I don't want to add it
Yeah.
just because it's been added. That is obviously the danger we've discussed about hints of making like
Mm.
false trees, like Karen was saying a couple of weeks ago.
Mm. Mm.
It's easy just to add everything, isn't it? But I want to know what the information is on this document, and 100% confirm it, because that would be awesome.
Mm. But I mean, this even just this entry of this Benjamin Ward on the 1921 census, so that is, you're pretty confident that is your Benjamin Ward. Even that's just exciting because you've got the railway station where he worked. I mean, that rabbit hole alert. Meep, meep, meep. You're gonna have to go and visit the site of the railway station, which probably doesn't exist anymore.
And
Yeah.
it doesn't. No, I mean that's only down the road from me. It's all too much.
Yes.
There's so much
And
information.
Great Northern Railway, I'm rubbish at railways. Like, what colour was he painting? Was he painting the engines of the coaches, and what was their livery? I'd need to know that. I've got the rabbit holes are just going mad now. So Nathan, what we have covered lots of the amazing things you've been discovering recently. So what is your next step? I think we need to not find out anymore. We just need to think what's going to be your single next step that you're going to.
I don't know if I'm capable of laser-eyed focus at this point. I want all the information. I've not even gone into details about Mabel in Canada or my drunken great-great-grandmother or whatever. I want it all. So I think I need to. I'm keen to sort out the William thing. I'm more confident on the Benjamin thing being proper and real. So even though it might not be, so I need to discount this William scenario. So what do I need to do? I need to check the addresses out, see if they match on any censuses, because obviously the mother should ideally be appearing on a census at the address, hopefully, unless they moved. And I don't really know what else to do on that one.
Yes, so that as a micro job, that's a good idea. If she does turn up at a different address, I wouldn't worry too much because you're talking about a world in turmoil between the 1911 and 1921 census. There was instances of rent racketeering and things through the First World War, and so there's every chance. And most people rented their property until late in the 20th century. So there's every chance she's a tenant and she's going to be in financial. It's not going to be an easy finances. That would be a perfectly normal situation to be in, and there's every possibility she's moved house. So don't panic if you find her in a different house. Doesn't mean any reason to rule her out. If you find her at the correct address, you're like, bingo, this is my person. On the big picture of what you need to do, of all the wonderful things you told me, is you need to record this somehow. So you can talk it all through on your phone. I found this, that, or the other. Or you can write it on your research log, or you can just write little notes or big notes, whatever. You can add them to your tree and tag them as possibles. But somehow you need to record all this wonderful research. Otherwise, it will just slip through your fingers and out of your brain.
Yeah. I mean, as I was going, I was a very good boy and I wrote down all the potential things I was finding on my research log. So
Oh, I'm so impressed. I'm
I
so
was like, Mabel,
oh.
did she go to Canada? And I referenced to whatever the record was. So I have logged the initial finds on my research log. I guess I just need to now keep up with that and register the things that I've researched to either count or discount them.
And honestly, Nathan, you're doing so well with your research log, because although I say it like 6 trillion times an hour, actually doing it, although it is such a brilliant thing to do, it's one of those self-discipline things that many of us, me included, do find really hard to do and hard to sustain. So you're doing fantastically. Yeah, so just write it down as quick and scruffy or as long as you like, and then you could include a little thing like to do next time, just so you jog in your brain what you need to do next time you revisit it.
Yeah. I do worry that with my research log, I'm putting this information down and still having elements of it in my own head. So it might sound like it makes sense in now, but I think in like a few months' time, I'm like, why did I write that? What does that mean?
Hmm.
So I guess maybe I need to be a bit more meticulous with it. But
If I'm really honest, I'm not meticulous. I try to be, and I have fits and starts of being meticulous. But over time, I have got better at doing a research. The notes that I do make have got better, and they've got better because when I've read my old notes, I've done precisely what you just said. I thought that doesn't make sense. It would have been really useful had I included X, Y, or Z. And so then I've kind of grown a better way of doing it that suits me better by realizing what I didn't do last time. I go, okay, next time I need to include this because I'm stuck without that bit of info.
yeah, I just got a lot of information very quickly this time. The censuses and then just the amount of siblings just threw up a lot of information. So I've not even looked at them all, but I don't know. I don't even know what's drawn me to certain ones either, which is a weird thing because I've had no context. I think I looked for the Mabel because it sounded like Ethel a bit, and I was like, oh, could it be an error, or could it have been a nickname, or could it have been a middle name, or so I went that way. But they've all thrown up so much stuff. I was literally just like in Word. All right, okay, write that down, write that down, write that down. Could be this, could be that, could be that. So I've got lots of question marks. But I feel like my tree has progressed on that side really quickly in one research session, but then it's thrown me up loads of rabbit holes in the process. Whereas when I was on like the George Horatio side, I found one rabbit hole and I stuck with it. The nature of because of the addresses and the census all connecting, it just let me get back really quickly, which I hadn't had before on the other side. I don't know why. It's mad.
It's cool. So there's lots and lots of good advice here, and another place to get good advice is in our e-newsletter. So if you're not already signed up to it, you're very welcome to. It's completely free. It comes out definitely every Monday, and sometimes if you have other useful and interesting things to tell you, we send it out at other times too. And to sign up, you go to www.family-tree.co.uk /newsletter-sign-up. And then we can tell you about the cool things we've got coming up. So for instance, we've got a new series of talks on family history software, and that's starting in July. And family history software is really cool because it can help you keep organized and help you build really complex trees, has all sorts of to-do lists, loads of things. There's lots of different variations of programs. So we're going to work through the key ones so that people can learn how to use them. And you might like to take a look at that, Nathan, because Ancestry's cool, but there's some you can use. Well, I use Family Tree Maker. You can use it in conjunction with Ancestry. Thicken the plot. It's good though. It's really good. And we've got some cool masterclasses coming up over the coming months of the summer and into the autumn to help people use Ancestry better, to help people learn how to do better research logs. So all these key things we keep talking about in the podcast, we've got courses, online courses you can join wherever you are in the world and learn how to do it too with experts. Not with me, but with proper experts who do it all the time. Okay, well, thanks for listening then.